Perfect. So like I said, thanks for your time. I really appreciate you talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
Quite a bit to chat about. I mean, we've got the anniversary coming up, the orchestra shows. Just really kind of thoughts on the past, the present, and the future, really. So start off. I mean, it's coming up to your 40th anniversary, if my maths is correct.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a massive achievement for any band, so congratulations on that. I mean, from your point, how does it feel talking about that?
Like I said already, it's talking about me. I love it.
Yeah.
You should say you want to answer each question, because then we won't crash into each other. So I'll take this one. I don't think Pete particularly likes talking about himself, but Peter, how much do you like talking about yourself?
Oh, are we there, Peter?
Yes, I'm here.
On his face. So what?
That was a comedy silence. It doesn't work terribly well on Zoom, does it?
No. Well, you fooled me, but no. Pete doesn't have to answer that. I know that. I think I'm a bit more. I don't know, a bit more up myself, I suppose. Anyway.
I mean, you got the 4 shows coming up with the orchestra. I mean, how did the idea for those shows come about? What was the kind of thought behind using them as a celebration?
We've talked about it. Go on, Pete.
No, you go ahead.
We've talked about it a few times, and basically it just wasn't viable before, and I don't know why, but suddenly, all of a sudden, it does seem like something that we can pull out of the hat. And so far so good. It was daunting at first, but we've been very lucky to get in with a guy called Rob Taggart, who's been doing the arrangements and then sending us to us, and then we've been chamfering them and bending them and making them different. And I think we've both been surprised at how well it looks like it's going to turn out.
Okay, I mean, Peter, in terms of the shows, then obviously they're going to be different to the shows in May with Paul Young. Well, I mean, what can fans expect from these shows in March, the orchestra shows?
Well, obviously we've tried to choose songs from our catalogue that lend themselves more to orchestral arrangement, along with perhaps the hits that people might expect to hear. So it'll be slightly different from a set list that you might hear with the band playing. Yeah, I mean, as Richard said, it was a bit daunting at first, and I must admit, from speaking from my own point of view, it was somewhat difficult to imagine how our recorded catalogue was going to lend itself to this setting. But as Richard's mentioned, we're working with Rob Taggart, who's done some just glorious orchestral arrangements, and that has made me feel actually more excited than I imagined I would be about doing these shows, rather than what's it going to be, because we still don't really know what I mean, obviously, I'm hearing the arrangements, but we only get to be in the room with the orchestra the day before the first show. So orchestral players, typically, they're playing what's written in front of them rather differently than, say, more of a pop-oriented musician. So from there, but anyway, it's an unknown, but I'm looking forward to it. The arrangements are gorgeous.
Definitely. I mean, in terms of something you touched on, Richard, about it being daunting, I mean, logistically, how challenging was it to get it all together? I mean, like you said, you've not rehearsed together yet. I mean, what challenges have you faced?
Yeah, it was difficult because of COVID. I mean, it's hard enough when you're in a room with someone to write a song or to do an arrangement or whatever. But I think we've got a process, and for such a dry word, but I think we've worked the process out now. And tried to, at first it was like version 12, and we thought Rob was going to walk, but we've managed to get it down now. And also at first, you're not sure how it's going to turn out, and you're committed to do it. So I think that's a big worry, is that, you put it together and you don't like it, but you've committed to do it. But as Pete's already said, and I think I have already, I mean, it's a real joy, I mean, there are times when I call Rob and I'm just like, as I say to him, that chord you've chosen there makes my willy go funny, and stuff like that. So he's Yeah, he's a joy. The way I work, I mean, Pete speaks to him on his own, and we've never had the three of us all at the same time. So, you know, online. But I will just sort of say, okay, this is Faded. Listen to Wichita Lineman, and off you go. You know, and he does. You know, and he comes back, and he seems to, at least from my perspective, he seems to pick up on my reference points. You know, almost spot on, which is uncanny and brilliant.
I mean, just something you touched on, Peter. You said you weren't sure how the songs were going to work. But what was it like hearing them back and hearing a very different version of that? Some songs that have been part of your lives for, 30, 40 years. What was that like?
Yeah, as I said, very exciting. I mean, there are some songs whose arrangements are such, The King of Wishful Thinking, for example, that it doesn't really give Rob an enormous amount of room for maneuver. And obviously, we want the songs to be recognizable when we play them in concert. But some of perhaps the songs that we felt might lend themselves more to orchestral arrangements, some less familiar ballads, like the song that Richard mentioned called Faded, and the song called The King is Dead from our Dancing on the Couch album, have come out just so brilliantly because there's more space there for Rob to do his thing. And so, as Richard said, you know, hearing these arrangements one by one, as Rob sends us synthesized demos of what the orchestra is going to sound like, has been really, really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of going forward and writing new music, has it changed the way you look at writing a typical Go West song? Has it made you
I don't know about that. I don't know about a typical Go West song, although because we haven't spoken about it. But I know Pete's been writing stuff. We do, especially over the last few years when we've not been doing, you know, the record company, you know, album quick. Where's the next one? Where's the next one? Yeah. We can kind of do it when we want now. Yeah. And also there, you know, it is a labor of love because it's not going to make a packet and stuff. So we have to spend a lot of time going out, you know, playing live, which we love, you know. Yeah. But personally, from my point of view, I mean, I've already got a theme for or should I say, a score for an indie type film. I mean, okay. I should hang on. I should say it's in my phone at the moment, but it was for orchestra and ukulele. Okay. So if there's anyone out there looking, you know, Jim Jarmusch or somebody like that who hasn't retired yet, Wes Anderson, give me a shout. I've got a fantastic ukulele and orchestra sound. I mean, I love orchestras. You know, it just. There are times when I said my Willie goes funny. I mean, it really does, you know, make me choke up sometimes when he sends the stuff through. You know, there's a track we did, Tracks of My Tears, and there's a bit in there where he's done an intro which is beautiful, but then these two chords come in and I'm just gone. I'm like a gibbering wreck, and which I've told him, much to his embarrassment. But yeah.
I mean, just going back to what you said, Richard, about the ukulele, it's funny you should mention that because my ex-flatmate's old partner, she's a ukulele player.
Yeah, there's a lot of us about.
Yeah, ukulele and yodeling randomly.
Yeah, I don't do the yodeling. Pete does the yodeling. He'll do a bit now for you, won't you, Pete?
No,
not when it's cold. I mean, just one thing you mentioned, and we've spoken about earlier, is obviously you've got the 4 dates coming up. Then you've got the tour with Paul Young in May, and then there's festivals and shows right through the summer. I mean, logistically, what's it been like pulling all of that together? The way things are at the moment, has it been a challenge?
Well, we kind of, it's a machine. Our live band crew, the production is a fairly well-oiled machine. I mean, as Richard has hinted, you know, the way that the industry's changed so much now means that this is how we make our living. So we play live a lot, and we've got a great band that are rehearsed up to speed. So the difference between coming back at it after COVID and lockdown was really about the gigs themselves, which is why we started with outdoor festivals where it was arguably safer. But once, you know, aside from getting somewhat battle rusty, I don't know, just a bit rusty after not having played live for such a long time, once we were back at it, it all kind of came back pretty quickly. So logistically, that hasn't been as much of a problem. We haven't played that many indoor shows. We played a couple. And obviously, as you say, the orchestral shows and the Paul Young Go West tour, those will all be in bigger indoor venues. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, brilliant. Well, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's a massive anniversary for you this year. What do you put that longevity down to? What's kept you together?
Bloody mindedness, I suppose. I think I always say this about getting into. Occasionally, we're asked to go to like a music school or something, and and I always say don't send me there, because I'll tell them to give up, because it's such a hard. I mean, my son tried and still is trying. It's very hard to get into now, just because of the finances. I mean, there's no great big budgets like we had, and people aren't buying music, they're streaming it, and I know you get a bit for that, but trust me, unless
it's not the same,
it's not enough to live on, so I think I can't remember what the question was now, but I know that the answer is you need to be resilient. You need I don't know what the equation is. 20% talent, 70% resilience, and 10% bloody mindedness. I hope that adds up to 100. Otherwise, I'm going to be very annoyed when I see this back.
Probably my maths isn't great, but I'll work it out later. So
Peter will work it out. He's good at that.
Okay, I mean, just going back then. I mean, what's been your proudest achievement?
Well, we've only been on stage to accept an award on one occasion, when we were the best British newcomer at the Brits in 1986.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. A natural experience, and really enjoyed that. Played our favorite local hometown gig, which at one point was called the Hammersmith Odeon, whatever it's called now.
No idea what it's called now.
Half a dozen times. Yeah. I mean, we've been very lucky. We've been in the right place at the right time on more than one occasion.
Eventually.
Yes. So, for example, The King of Wishful Thinking is on a soundtrack to a film which has sold 12 million copies and counting. So again, that was less by our design, other than that we had written the song. But it is often, in addition to resilience and bloody mindedness, it is often about being in the right place at the right time.
Okay, going forward then, I mean, what are your ambitions? I mean, like you said, Richard, the music industry's changed dramatically since the 80s. What are your ambitions as a band?
Graham, I think our ambition, or mine, I realised after a while, I was seeing lots of our contemporaries, dropping by. I mean, I wrote a song that for a band called Next of Kin that got to number 13, and then they were dropped. That's the first single got in the top 20, but that's not good enough. Sorry, what was your question again?
I was just saying, what are your ambitions going forward?
Oh yeah, Oscar. I want to win an Oscar, please. For my ukulele and orchestra soundtrack. It's a very niche market, but I've caught it.
Yodeling is not a niche market. I know, like I said, my friend, she's been over to Pakistan randomly yodeling.
Yodeling in Pakistan, that is niche. That's more niche than ukulele with orchestra.
It was a corporate gig as well. It wasn't even just a random gig. It was a proper corporate event.
Fantastic. Well, good luck to her.
Yeah.
So, okay. One of the things we like to do is we like to have a bit of a kind of pub quiz thing.
I'll win.
Now, what we've done is like you said, Richard, you like talking about yourself, but we want to see how well you know your own lyrics.
Oh, all right. Go on then.
So I've got 5 first lines from some of your songs. So just want to see how well you know them. First one is, maybe it's the wrong time, but when is the right time to say I lied?
Eye to eye.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. I think it's time to talk about your latest flame.
I think it's time to talk about your latest flame.
Yeah.
You sure to go west?
Wow.
Yeah. I've got it.
No, I don't know. I could hear.
I was so confident when this game started, and now I don't know that one either.
I've got Forget That Girl from Indian Summer.
Yeah. I think it's time for you That's why, because it's such a weird melody. Do 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 do. It's more like a brass line. Yeah. So all right, 1-1. Come on. Next.
Okay. I walked the world alone. I was rolling like a stone.
Man on Fire.
Yeah.
Good
He's
call.
right.
Inside, everyone hides one desire. Outside, no
We
one.
close our eyes. we know that one.
And the last one then. So we've got 3 out of 4 so far. Anyone can see. All I want to be is by your side.
Oh.
All day, all night.
Excellent. 4 out of 5. Brilliant. Okay, so we've talked about touring then. And you've talked about your film score. What about new music from Go West? What can fans expect? Anything in the near future?
They can expect all they like.
But
no, as we say, I mean, it's always there. You know, there's always the chance of it happening. I've certainly, if Pete, came around tomorrow, I've got about 280 things I can starts that I could play him, and I'm sure he's got the same. But like I say, you really have to want to do it, because it is, for us, I mean, it's not always a joyous pastime, because we both write the words, we both write the music, so it does end up in the odd storming out and punch up and whatever else. So
excellent.
I think it's a bit like an orrery, which is as far as I'm concerned, is one of those models of the planets. They just have to line up just right for us both to feel like we're willing to put ourselves through it again, and then we'll do it. So let's hope that happens, because it'd be nice to do another one.
Definitely. Well, 40 years. I mean, they've obviously lined up more than they've not. So it's, like I said, it's a great career for you guys. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you.
Just to finish off then, I mean, the fans that have been with you throughout it all, I mean, do you have any message for them ahead of the shows?
Well, we've often said that we feel very lucky, and we're very aware that it's thanks to you fans, thanks to those fans, that we get to do what we love to do 40 years on, which I never would have dreamed of in 1985. I was only thinking about making that album, and we'll see what happens, without any real plan or ambition. So to be here all these years later, still making a fool of myself on stage on a regular basis is really quite something. So very, very grateful and feel very fortunate.
Yeah, and especially since it's live, that really keeps the ball rolling now. It's easy to sit at your kitchen table and just download a lot of stuff off of Spotify, but people have to get dressed and leave the house and come to the show and pay money, and they do, and God bless them. We've managed to. I think that's the. People say, what's the most success? How do you measure success? And I think that's it. Being able to stay in this game. It's a savage business. People are trying to, but you're jumping over crocodiles for 40 years, and we've managed to still keep jumping.
You're still smiling with it as well, so that's great to see. That's
the brandy, Graham. That's the brandy. That's my advice. Kick in about noon. You'll be sorted for the rest of the day. I'm only joking.
Well, you leave it as late as noon.
Like that. That's a good one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's been great talk. It's been great catching up. I'm hoping to get to the Manchester show. So, I mean, I think it'd be a beautiful venue for a great show. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking at it. Good luck with the rest of the shows and everything. And hopefully we'll catch up sometime soon.
Thank you, mate. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Perfect. I'll research a few more obscure lyrics for you next time.
Yeah, that's a worry. That is.
Well, to be fair,
that can be our Alzheimer's check. When we don't get any of the 5 right, that's when we have to go to the doctors.
Brilliant. Well, have a great day, and thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.